Well, good evening, everybody. How you doing? Yet another live stream. One of many in these days. Just spent a little time this afternoon with Art Carlson on Art Co., who celebrated his second anniversary as a YouTube channel, which got me beat. I think I started this thing about 15 months ago, so good for him. Had a nice show over there. Ken Heron popped in and to say hello. Jeff Sills did, and we had Mel for a while, and Steve Carpenter was in there. Ron Lockwood. It was very nice, very nice. Spent about an hour with them, and here I am. So hey everybody, Jody, how you doing? Builder 710, hello to you. Arizona Drone Dude, Joe C. John, I don't know if you pronounce it Cuppy or Coopy, John, but John, how you doing? Stingray Aerial Solutions, how are you? Ron Levesque, hey, first timer. How you doing, Ron? Thanks for coming in. Let me take this opportunity here to make you a moderator. Give you a blue wrench so you fit in. And Nitrate Mike, how you doing? Good to see you. So how's everybody doing tonight? All cooped up, are we? Hey Chris, how you doing, buddy? Chris Hope is in the house, and we're off to a start. Thursday night again. Seemed like it was only yesterday. So after an hour on Art Show, we talked about all kinds of things. I said, you know, I need to save something for my show tonight. Oh, Ron, I don't know what happened. Evidently, your moderator thing got dropped, but I wouldn't put it past YouTube to do that. A lot of times subscriptions will disappear. Haven't lost. I don't think I've happened to me before, but at any rate. Thought I saw you, but generally when somebody shows up as a non-moderator in my sea of blue that is my live stream chat, that tells me that somebody hasn't been here before, because I make everybody a moderator. And oh, Peter's here. How you doing, Peter? Good to see you too. So had a couple. Oh, that's right, Ron. That's right. You're in Spring Hill. Yeah, it's over near where my daughter lives. She lives over in Trinity over there. So good deal. So you're suffering through these 90-degree April days like we are. Good deal, good deal. So yeah, on Art's show a little earlier, and everybody's making the rounds. So it appears that I have Mr. Mel 400 AGL in the green room eating my donuts. So let me bring in, without further ado, and a round of applause, Mr. 400 AGL himself, Mr. Mel. How you doing, Mel? No, that's me. Hold on a second. That's me. That's me. Okay, we got it.
I was pretty sure I had my stuff set right. I was like, uh-oh, did I blow it?
No. You know what happened is I from listening to ArtStream after I got off of ArtStream, I was working on the computer a little while, so I left the stream run and turned the speakers on. Okay. So the first sound that actually just came through Chrome was the first sound other than my own on this stream, and that was you. So
gotcha.
So I just figured out a down and dirty way to make reverb, you know.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, Mel, long time, man. We haven't talked in, Christ, what, 15 minutes?
Yeah. Has it been that long?
Yeah, about 20 minutes.
Come back.
Come back what? What'd you lose? I have no idea what Mel was doing.
I'm looking at a omnidirectional digital TV antenna. I think that looks pretty good. What's the range on that one?
150 miles.
That's plenty.
150
Cool.
miles. That'll get you at least 25 miles.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's only for receiving, so
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So
it's been 20 minutes.
Spank's looking pretty good in the background.
Yeah, he's over on that side, and I think that I think I need to move him over to the other side.
Well,
There
now
we
you
go.
got to fix your bush and your logo.
Oh, my face is on top of my bush. How'd that happen?
Your face
Well,
is
hang
in the
on
bush,
a second.
Mitch.
Let me put him back there. I can fix it. I have the technology here. I have the technology. Whoa, got the intro again. All right. Sorry about that. You know how that happens? You hit the button that had a video attached to it. There. How's that? Is that better?
That looks a lot better.
Okay.
At
Let me
least
get
now
that
your
in.
face. You're not. Never mind.
Yes, I get it. Let me get that intro out of the preview window, so when I do a swap, it doesn't come back in.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So
There's an old joke, about that
I'm sure there is.
face stuff. I don't know if you want to hear it or not. But,
I don't know. What do you think?
well, I think it's funny, but
Well,
well,
go ahead.
they Jerry Springer passed away.
What?
Yeah,
Did he?
they found him face down in Ricky Lake.
Oh, okay.
Does that sound effect come through? Did you-
No, but I wish I had a rim shot. I would have given it to you right there.
You don't hear the rim shot?
Do it again. Now,
Huh. Okay, what am I doing wrong with StreamYards then?
I don't know.
Because I'm running my external on vMix, which, I wonder if I don't have that line on this output. Let's see here.
More than likely,
Ah.
I'm going to have to defer to you on vMix. I've never used it.
It does, it's basically the same thing. You've got scenes and you've got to set your inputs for your scenes.
Yeah.
And what I have to do is find my audio line in, my auxiliary audio line in, and add that to this capture for this scene. Well, why can't I find it? Why don't I see it in
Well,
my list?
while you're looking, welcome. Rick Halber's in the house, I see, and
Hello, Rick.
Paul Phantom Hodges drone. I think I said hi to Peter Carroll. And speaking of Down Under, we got Craig Yarker, Mad Kiwi. Good day. How are you doing? Everybody in Australia calls me Uncle Mitch. I think Spike started that.
Ah, yeah, that could
So
be.
I'm-
Like he calls me
I'm-
Fuzzy Cuzzy because of my
Yeah,
beard.
I'm Uncle Mitch from that's what the Down Under people call me. Bob Casey named me the Professor.
Yep.
And I get that a lot, so that's okay, I suppose. And I said hi to Chris, so I think I got everybody.
And you still didn't hear that, huh?
No, I didn't.
What in the devil?
No, I didn't. I decided today in the countdown for the show. I do that differently than most of you guys do. I start my countdown. If the show's supposed to start at 6, I always start my countdown at like 7 minutes till 6,
Right.
instead of starting it right on the money. So I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea, because that's when the notices go out as soon as I hit the live button.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is I see a lot of people coming and going. They'll pop in and they'll come in, they'll see that the show isn't live yet and go, oh, to hell with him, and go away. So I don't know if
I
that's
used to do mine at 5 minutes till the hour, and then I decided to start doing it at the hour because people know that I do my show at 6, and this way it gives every YouTube notifications, time to start, all that, and so.
Yeah, 6 of one, half of that. If people want to be here, they'll be here.
Yeah.
The only time that I have a problem is on Sunday when I'm following you. I don't want the notifications for my live stream to go out until you're just about done. Until you say, okay, I'm wrapping it up, goodbye, see you later. Then I hit the thing to go live. And I usually put a shorter countdown in there, a couple minutes, just to let me get settled, make sure this, stream
Right,
is
right.
good and everything is fine, which is why we use those countdown periods to make sure that everything is actually streaming. And I noticed today when my YouTube stream first popped up in my monitor, when I went live, the quality was horrible, and it seems to have improved a little bit, but I don't think it's really up to snuff because of the volume of traffic that they're having.
It might be a little bit different, but I've really not noticed a lot of difference.
Well, the delay isn't that bad. It's still less than 10 seconds from when I'm going out live to when I see it on my monitor. I can see that on my countdown because I look at the timer that's on the stream and I look at the timer that's on, coming from me, and it was about 8 seconds. So that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Gary, did I say hi to Gary? If not, hi Gary. Jody's here. How you doing, Jody? Jody's always the first one in, and he goes away for a little while, must eat dinner and then come back because he's
That's,
always like the first one in the chat.
I've got Italian sausage in the hot air cooker as we speak.
Well, I was between Art's stream and I wanted to catch a cigar in between, and then your phone call. I didn't get a chance to eat, so I'll probably survive. I'll watch Ken Herron and cook up a little something after this is over. Ludsat1, how you doing? Good to see you.
What's your question, Chris? Why can't we go to other channels in the chat today?
There's we talked about that. When you click the hamburger over, it usually had an entry that says go to channel first. It's not there now. It's missing.
Oh,
in
in
your
the
chat, yeah, when you click the three dots, usually it lets you, says go to channel, so you can go check somebody out real quick. But
right.
yeah,
Wow.
somebody in Art's stream mentioned, and I don't remember who it was, that said that it's YouTube. They're so overloaded and having so many problems that feature is not available right now for some reason. So I'm sure it's just a temporary thing.
That's interesting.
That I think is, I noticed it too. And I was watching Spike for a little while last night, and he was trying to go to somebody's channel and he couldn't get it to work either. So it is hopefully it's not a permanent thing, because that's really handy, especially in these live streams where you're trying to do some networking and check out some other people, maybe subscribe to their channel. But
Right.
we'll see. So far it's just you and me. They're not clamoring. Maybe we intimidate them all, Mel. What do you think?
Do we?
I don't know.
Maybe it's just me. They just don't want to be seen with me.
No, I don't mind being
You
seen.
usually have a pretty good full panel.
I do, but they come in. It never starts off strong. In fact, the fact that I got 16 people in the stream now is amazing, because so many of the guys, it conflicts with dinner time or when we're working to drive home from work and all. But that's okay. I'm not doing this for the money, that's for sure. I do it because I enjoy it. Of course, I'd like to have a lot of people, but.
There's a guy said he just built a drone with a DJI air unit. Don't think
Yeah,
he'll go
that's,
back to analog.
Ludsat1, and he's the only one that doesn't have a blue wrench in here. So let me go ahead and, if you got an Armiton Marmot with a DJI air unit, then you can have a blue wrench in my chat anytime, my friend, because that is a big time. I have in fact, I think he saw my stream, if I'm not mistaken, and when I upgraded my Marmot and put the DJI air unit in, and that's one of my best flying drones. That thing is terrific. It's like a tank, I mean, it's a big heavy thing, and it's got that titanium cage on the front that protects the camera. I don't have it I don't have it sitting here. Only drone I really have sitting here is the Artco Special here. And, I was gonna. Jody wanted me to show that, and I was going to wait till Art came in, and we'll talk about his drone. But we actually, I spent an entire. You know how you said you spent an entire day on your graphic?
Yeah, it really wasn't
Yeah.
really a whole day, but that's the only thing I did that day. You know, by the time I got around to doing something and then got that finished up, the day was pretty much done. So yeah,
Well,
I
I got
know
to
what
tell
you
you,
mean.
I did take an entire day to get this drone of Art's whipped into shape. It was quite a project, but I ended up getting it done, and it flies. And as soon as we get some, get out of the house and get a day where it isn't blowing like crazy here, I will take it out and do an FPV flight, record the goggles video, and probably show it on one of the live streams. So we'll see. But
Well, I've just about got up the nerve to do that myself with this one.
well, I was hoping that you weren't going to give it up. Because once you get the hang of it, which shouldn't be too long for you, you'll get hooked, Mel. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun. I really enjoy.
I just feel like I need to have a spotter with me, because that way, when it does go down, and it will, and I know it will, that's part of the game. Someone can tell me at least which direction to go to start looking for it.
Well, that's why on just about all of my drones, Mel, I put those external beepers with the battery backup. It has a little battery in them on the drone. That's screamingly loud, and
Is it?
I can
Because
yeah,
it
and
would
I
have
can,
to be for me to be able to hear it.
Yeah, I can trigger the beeper with the switch on my transmitter.
Hmm.
But it also, if it loses power, it'll use the battery that's on the beeper, and it'll start beeping and flashing. It has a bright LED on it too. And the reason that you want to do that is if you happen to have a particularly hard crash and throw the battery goes flying off for some
Right.
reason.
Or shorts out and smokes.
Smokes or whatever.
Like mine did, yeah.
This little beeper will start to scream, and I think it'll go for, I would imagine, 12 to 24 hours. So I mean, it's
Oh, wow.
and I really haven't had to use it, only a couple of times. And one time I was flying this big wide open field, big field. The grass was fairly high, and I pushed the battery too far, and I was way at the other side of the field, and I figured, I'm trying to get it back to me, and I'm more and more throttle, and it's going down. And I said, well, rather than completely ruin this battery, I was going to land it out there. So I landed it out there, and I couldn't see it in the grass,
Right?
and I couldn't hear the beeper either from as far away as I was. But as I was walking in the general direction, I started triggering the beeper, and it took me right to it. So it is a handy thing, so you don't have to walk a search grid in
Yeah,
a 2-acre
yeah.
field trying to find your quad, especially if the thing gets stuck up in a tree,
Yep.
because those are really hard to find with all the leaves in the trees. The thing will nuzzle itself in there, and God, it's yeah. John agrees with me. John used the one that's called the Hellgate buzzer. I use one, I think it's a JHB. The only way I ever know to reorder them from Amazon is I go look at my previous orders and buy it again.
And
But I've forgotten
and-
what the name of it is.
The funny thing is I remember doing this in high school in electronics class. We made beepers like that run off a little 9-volt battery, and had the little sound thing, that the actual device, and we made the circuit and plug the 9-volt battery into it and flip the switch, and it would squeal a horrible noise. I've
Oh,
slept since then.
I just got, thanks to Ed, Love My Drones. You know Ed
Yeah.
from Love My Drones. A couple weeks ago, I actually, flew my little Tinyhawk around the house live on my live stream, and I
Right.
used my receiver, my ground station receiver, and plugged it into a regular capture card that I plugged into the USB port on the computer, and then brought it into OBS as a capture device. And then Ed went in the chat and says, I do the same thing. And I'm thinking to myself, no, you can't be doing the same thing. It's complicated. Well, I didn't realize it. Come to find out that there's a little device here. Whoop, there it is. Everything goes the wrong way. Okay, it's
Yep.
a little.
You were
can you
talking
see it?
about those on your live stream
Yeah.
the other night.
The Sky. Well, this is the Sky Droid. It's called, and Eachine also makes. It's the same exact thing, and I forget the number, but they make them with a single antenna and a diversity receiver, and this was only like $26, $27, and it's a 5.8 gigahertz diversity receiver. It's got a USB plug in the bottom, and you can plug it into your cell phone with a short. They give you the cables to go right into either USB-C, and there's an app on the cell phone, and you can see your FPV feed on your cell phone
Okay.
from this receiver. But if you take and plug it into a USB port in a computer, okay, and it just becomes it shows up like a USB camera as a video capture.
Oh.
So what you can do, and I just went into OBS, and I went ahead and brought the capture in to that screen to see that you can see the
Yep.
see the snow there, and then if I take a little quad and plug it in. Okay, it's
You
not
get-
on the right channel, so I have to do a
You get
channel
different
search.
snow.
I'll do a channel search here. Why am I not? Ah, here I wanted to demonstrate
Because
it,
it's
and
live
and
TV.
and it's on the wrong channel. So let me just see in the app on the screen on your cell phone, the channel number shows up on it.
Ah.
Okay, and it's got 150 different channels that it'll pick up. So
Oh, my goodness. I hear you
I'm just
clicking the
manually pushing this silly button here right now, hoping that I'm
Yeah.
going to find the channel eventually, that because I don't want to unplug it from the computer. If I unplug it from the computer, it'll go away and I won't have it in OBS anymore if I plug it back in. See, so something's different here. Let's see. I don't know, Mel.
Yeah, different snow.
Because I tried this before when I was setting it up, and it was working just fine.
Even
So,
Spank looks confused.
yeah, he is. So I don't know if I'm going the wrong way or the right way with this button. Let me try pushing it the other way and see what happens.
Well, now you got to go back through everything you just passed. You
Yeah,
know,
I know. Well,
in
I'll tell you what
flying,
I'll
the
do.
shortest way through a thunderstorm is straight through it. You know that, right?
Yeah, I'll play with it while
There you go.
guys are
Sit
looking
there
at me
clicking it. And yeah.
instead of the snow. Yeah, but I'm looking at it in the preview window. And
Hello,
I'm seeing all
Jim.
kinds of stuff. Oh, Jim. Hey, Jim, how you doing? Above and Beyond Drone. Jerry Cavalry's here too.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. This is really strange. So what I'm going
Hey,
to
Ray.
do, I think, Ray Kelly too. Hey, boy, all the gang's all here tonight.
Yeah.
Now, I can't seem to get it on the channel. I don't know what the hell. This is terrible. So I guess I have to unplug it. So I'm going to unplug it from the computer, and let's try the cell phone here, because that'd be interesting too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and let's see if I can make it work. So I got my cell phone here, and we'll plug this little receiver into the USB port on the thing and plug it, and it should when it comes on, it should automatically open the app. So we'll see what happens here. Hey, there it is. Now it's working. So you see, I've got the feed from the drone.
Right.
See it on my cell phone. Okay. Well, now that I see it's working, let me see what happens if I plug it back into the computer. So I'm going to plug it back into the computer and see if that gives me a picture. No. So what I would have to do is I would have to actually close OBS and reopen it. So I'm going to try to do that. So my screen's going to go kind of blank. Hey, Carlos is here. I'll bring Carlos in. The two
Hey,
of you
Carlos.
can talk. My screen's going to go away, and if it doesn't ever come back, I'll still be able to talk to you, but I have no idea. But I'm going to close my OBS now, and I went away, and now I'm going to reopen my OBS.
And
hope it starts up again.
doing well, Carlos. How are you?
All right.
It did, Mitch. It came back.
And there it is in OBS. So
There you go.
yeah. So now I have my little
He's
drone
going to start
here.
showing off and watch him fly.
No, but there it is. There's me in front of my green screen
Yep.
with no monkey or anything. Look at the wide angle on that drone, will you?
Yeah.
That's
And,
Tinyhawk? What is
Yeah,
that?
and here's you guys. Here's you guys in
Yep.
the computer. So that brought it into OBS. So what I'm hoping is when we get a nice evening, I'll hook this thing up and I'll open the window. I could open the window here in this window right over here. See it?
Mitch, you
open
can
that
literally
win-
walk outside and it'll pick up your.
Right, but
Yeah,
I could fly it right out the window. I mean, I could open
Yeah.
up the window and fly it right out the window, fly it around outside, and then fly it
Come
back
back in.
into the window. Yeah, and show it on the live stream. And maybe if enough guys, I know that Greg at Oz by Drone, if enough guys, it's a nice angle, isn't it? I'll hold it. All right, enough of that. All right, if enough guys, like Ed has it and some of the other guys get it, we could have a virtual fly-in, which would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Carlos, this is the one this is the one you sent me the link to. I got it from Race Day Quads.
Yeah. Good.
And they have the same thing. They do have the same thing on Amazon, and it's $29. Or Banggood has the Eachine version of it, which
Right.
is white, but they're all the same. They're all the same exact unit. And the
Yeah.
thing that really floored me about it was, you know how you buy this stuff and usually it doesn't work, and you got to go on the forums and figure out what you did wrong and what drivers you didn't load. This thing.
Works right
I
away.
plugged it into loaded the app, plugged it into the cell phone. It came up with a message says, "Do you want this app to be default for this device?" I said yes, and now every time I plug it into my cell phone, it just opens the app automatically and away it goes.
Yeah.
And then I said, "Well, that's great. I hope we'll see if it works on the computer." So I took it and plugged it in the computer, and boom! I didn't have to load any drivers, nothing. Showed right up as a capture device.
Right.
And,
Nice.
and yeah, so
Nice.
and it's got channel search on it too, which is really
And
nice because
diversity.
it draws a graph and shows you where the spikes are, so if you're out at the field and other guys are flying and you want to find their channel, it's really easy to find with this thing. So anyway, for $27, I thought it'd be a handy little gizmo to.
And you
handy
can
little
actually
gizmo to have.
use that. You can use that with those goggles where you put your cell phone in the goggles and you flip them, almost like the same idea as the FXT Viper.
Yeah, how's the latency on it though? Anybody?
Yeah, it's not
might-
not the best, but it gives you at least an idea of FPV, a good introduction without getting too expensive.
It even comes in this nice little metal.
Yeah,
No,
I have one of these,
tin
but it didn't
box.
work for me.
Really?
Yeah, many moons ago.
Huh.
But I didn't bother
They
with
give you-
that. Go back and forth, and that was it.
No, this thing, they give you a micro USB to
Cable,
USB-C, and they also give you a short little micro USB to micro USB. in case your cell phone is older and doesn't have the USB-C, but it's got the micro USB.
Otherwise,
I
you
don't.
just plug a regular micro USB cable into it and plug it into your PC. Then, right? Just a regular
that's
USB
just
cable.
a regular
Yeah.
USB with a Type A on one side
Type
and the
A, yeah.
micro USB on the other. Yeah, and it worked. It worked fine. So it's a pretty neat
Cool.
little gadget.
Very cool.
Yeah, for $27, why not?
I bought it when I
Try,
first started getting into FPV. I was going to use it with the Parrot Mamba, and the
Oh, really?
yeah, because you could just flip them in. Those goggles, they flip out. You put the phone in, just like the FXT. Basic, the same idea.
Bloodsat asks, how long do I wait for Banggood products to be
Depends.
delivered? I see. John already answered. Yeah, from the U.S. warehouse takes 5 days to a week. He's correct. I've waited as long as 30 days from China, but usually between 2 and 3 weeks it gets here. Now, that's normal times. I don't know if it's going to be like that during this time of corona crisis, but who knows?
Corona. I'm getting tired of that. I went out the other
Corona.
day and I just wasn't in the mood with all this Corona in my head. I don't know.
Yeah,
Flying.
I
I
flew.
was just flying and I just didn't feel. I don't know. It just wasn't.
I flew a flight. I went out beside my house with the Tinyhawk last night. And my heart wasn't in it either. It was starting to get windy, and I just, the hell with it. I'll just wait till I get, because I don't want to lose it in this neighborhood of mine. There's too many rooftops, trees, canals. I already put one drone in a canal, so and enough
Oh
of that.
no.
Yeah, that was that. That
Yeah, the
was
video. Show 'em up.
I don't know. I have to dig that out. But that was that Beta FPV HD, the 85X that I had that never
everything
flew
but what
right.
he wanted
I think
it
it
to.
had a bad motor. I think it had a bad motor or something in it, but it just went out of control.
They
on
actually
me.
didn't get very good reviews. That little.
No,
drone.
I won't. Interestingly enough, a lot of their drones do get good. Pardon me. Do get good reviews.
Yeah, but
But
not
I'd
that
never buy another one because of my experience with that thing.
other kind of piece.
And that was a $200 little drone too because of that Cat external camera in it. But that
Rick
was when I
isn't,
first started out.
Rick Halber isn't doing his little Tinyhawk today.
Say that again.
Rick Halber isn't setting up the Tinyhawk.
Well, Rick said in the chat he said he wasn't feeling too well.
Okay.
I did want to talk to him about that because we spent an hour or so on the phone the other day, loading all the drivers and everything, and for some reason he just could not get the drone to connect with Betaflight. He never even got the little noise, the little ding sound that you get when you plug in a USB thing.
Did he try to set it with his own the ready to fly unit to see if it works?
No, we didn't do that, but
You should try that just to make sure everything's good.
yeah, he has another computer, so
okay.
I was thinking that might not be a bad idea to try it on a different computer, but it could be a bad cable. Some of these don't. Some of them, and Rick and I talked about this. Some of them are just power, no data. Charging.
Did he use the one from his Mavic or his?
Well, he
his
said
DJI?
that he had a data one, and then he tried another one, and that didn't work. So, the handiest thing to troubleshoot this would, of course, be if he had another drone there, and then he, just add another cable and just eliminate all that from. And narrow it down to a computer or a driver issue, but
Right.
but we'll get at it. We'll get at it.
Okay. I mean, it's been a while. I like to see that thing go up.
Yeah. Now Jerry Calvary said, did he try the driver fixer? And there is a little program from Impulse RC. And generally, the only time you need that is when you're trying to get it to connect in the DFU mode. And for those of you that don't know what DFU means, it doesn't mean what you think it does.
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't go there.
It means device firmware upgrade. And the DFU mode on any device that has firmware on it is a way for the device itself to connect without having to actually run. It's like almost like booting a computer in safe mode, let's say. It's designed to take a bricked flight controller or a bricked cell phone. You know, even cell phones have it. And this is what you need to do to install firmware on a flight controller. And there's usually a little button on the controller, and you would hold the button down while you powered up the controller, and it would go into DFU mode. And a lot of what was happening is that I think that requires maybe a different driver or a different driver setting. I don't know from my limited experience, but I know that I had to do that on one of them. And that seems to me sometimes to be more controller specific than a general setting with Betaflight. So it might not hurt to try running it, but it's just called Impulse RC. If you Google Impulse RC driver fixer, you'll find it. I don't think it could hurt, Rick, if you wanted to try running that and see if it does something. It might, but it did enable me to get into a flight controller in DFU mode that wouldn't connect previously. So there is something to that. Rick says, I found a different drone too. I'm going to try later. Okay.
Try
yeah,
now.
No, Rick, he said he's not feeling good, but I'll tell you, he was ready to throw the thing in the trash can, I think, the other day, and I was ready to do the same.
Do that.
No, it was frustrating. I mean, how many times, Rick, did you actually reinstall those drivers? 5, 6 times, something like that.
I would say if it just connects to the controller that it came with, it's, just to make sure that it's working.
That's not a USB connection. It might certainly
I'm
connect.
saying the actual controller and everything, just to make sure that it's actually functional, because he should just be able to turn that on and turn his controller on, and it should work. Not the one that he bought, the one that with the ready to fly.
The one that came with it, yeah. Well,
Yes,
that's fine, but Jerry put the link in the chat. Oh, there it is. Impulse.com pages down. Yeah, okay, good. Jerry's got the link in the chat for that driver, Rick. It's right up there. But we'll figure it out. If I had the thing here in front of me, same thing with like Art's drone, for me to, to try to
all the differences.
Troubleshoot this stuff long distance. It is tough. It's not impossible, and it's kind of the basis for what I want to do on the live stream. But
Right.
sometimes
Right.
it's much easier when you got something in front of you.
Changing
Ron
the subject.
Lockwood, how you doing, Ron? Good to see you.
Mel, who cuts your hair now? Do you guys have barbers open?
Huh? What?
Do you have barbers open in your state? There's no barbershops open.
I don't know.
Oh, I mean, I'm having bad hair days these days.
I cut my own hair. My hair is short. Yeah, I got a shear.
I need to do something.
I go to the barber, right? I got no hair anyway. Here, I got no hair anyway. Here. All right, you see how much hair I got? I got a little fringe around the back here. So I go to the barber. I go to the barber shop, and they charge me like $15 or whatever, and they don't have, I ask them for a discount and they just laugh. But really, I should get a discount. I've got 20% of the hair. I should pay 20% of the price. And most of the time they take a shears and put a bigger fence on it than I use to trim my beard. And I got one of those professional wall shears, and it comes with like 5 or 6 of these different fences. So one day I said, why am I spending $15 to when all they do is shear me like a sheep? Right. So I got a mirror and I positioned myself and put a towel down on the floor. And I got to tell you, it's very, very tough the first time you do it to figure out the right angle to hold the shears. Everything is backwards. But I figured out how to do it. And the only thing that's tough to do is to get a nice straight line across the back.
That's where you get the lady that lady next door to do it for you. Hit on her.
Yeah, lady next door, right?
The lady next door. Nah, I don't know if I want to get that close, but
Senior discounts are good. Yeah. I don't know. I told the guy, make me look handsome. He said, "This is a scissor, not a magic wand."
Yeah. That sounds like a Rodney Dangerfield joke.
Oh, but I'm gonna have to find somebody to cut my hair soon.
Well, you got a wife.
Yeah, I told her, let's watch some YouTube videos and maybe we can figure out how to do it.
Give her a scissors.
Yeah.
Give her a scissors if you trust her.
I guess she could just take a little bit. I don't know.
At any rate, now I've been doing that myself lately, and I don't do it that often, but no, it works, and look, I'm a bachelor. I live by who I try to impress anyway. If the back is a little ragged, if it's not perfectly straight, and I've gotten to the point where I can even take the razor and in the mirror get a straight line across the back. So I'm gonna, if I could ever quit my day job, I could become a barber now, I suppose. Steve Carpenter's in the house. Hi, Steve. How you doing? So I understand Ken Herron is, and I don't want to get too deep into this, but I just want to make sure I understand that his stream tonight is going to be not on his regular channel because he had a copyright. And we won't get into the details or talk about that, Mel, because I don't want to have controversy here. But he.
Oh, Mitch, you're so middle of the road.
Yeah, I know. He got one of these 90-day timeouts.
Really? Ken?
Yeah, and I think that he'll probably have it straightened out, but not in time for tonight's show. So he's going to actually stream on Ready Set Drone channel, and his other channel. He's going to stream simultaneously to two different channels to the
I think so.
Side B. Okay.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, Stingray, that 90 days is for an actual copyright strike is their standard operating procedure. And I remember when I first got into this community and discovered Mikey, Philly Drone Life. He was in the middle of one of those 90-day strikes where he couldn't live stream. Remember that, Carlos?
No, but it's just, you sound like, it's like being in school and you got timed out.
Yeah, well, I think, it's just like a timeout. It's like a timeout. But, for Mike, it didn't mean much. But for Ken, it's his livelihood. So,
oh, yeah.
I'll leave the details to someone else to talk about.
Oh,
because I don't know.
If something like that ever happened to me, you may as well just slit my throat.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. But he'll be all right. He'll be all right. Evidently, from what you told me, and that's the only place I've heard any of the information about this, is that it's been pretty well worked out, and he'll be back. But tonight, for any of you people that are going to,
what is Art going to do tonight?
Oh, well, Art will find him. We'll all find him
Easy.
and watch the show. Yeah, Art. Where is Art anyway? Here, I spend all this time helping him out on his show, and he doesn't even.
I'm going to have to send you a drone or two, Mitch. I'll pay you for it.
To do what?
I have 2 drones that are down. Just motor issues, either. Yeah, they're just motor issues. It's nothing serious, but it's above my pay grade.
You could do that, or you could try to learn this stuff. To fix it yourself, it's not that big a deal.
It's just the I don't know, repairing and taking it apart, putting it back. I tell you what, if I take it apart and I can't put it back together again, Mitch.
That's when you send a box to Mitch and he'll take all the pieces and make it work.
Make it work. You saw the video I posted about the test flight of that drone. Did you guys see? Did you see that? Did you see the way when I
didn't leave a comment, but I did see it. Yeah.
When I opened it up, I used a couple of scenes from the live stream that I thought would be funny. Remember that?
Did you use a straight antenna or whatever they call that?
Well,
But the one that came with the FXT, right? You put that on the quad.
I just stuck, yeah, because I just needed
Yeah.
you need to have an antenna on it or you'll
Something.
burn up the video transmitter. If you can't
Right.
fire these things up without an antenna, without a load on them, they'll get hot. So rather than, I have a whole bunch of these things laying around.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, and
Probably
this
worked
is
well,
something, this is something that that may be good information for some guys. So let me instead of doing this on Sunday, let me
Segue into the.
let me give you a quick little lesson here on SMA connectors. So
And
let me zoom
SMA are
in.
the ones with the little pin, correct?
All right, let me zoom in on this. Let me get it centered here. All right, so you see, this is an SMA, a standard SMA female connector. And I don't have to tell you guys why they call sockets and plugs male and female. Okay, you understand that?
Right.
That's just basic birds and bees stuff.
Hmm.
So this is an SMA connector, and the male SMA connector, which is in the antenna, has the
There you go,
little
right there.
has the pin in it. Okay, and the little pin, of course, goes into the little hole when you screw this on. So
And it's really important that you have it lined up right because you can
Yes.
bend the pin.
yes,
Yeah.
but I went ahead and I said when I was using this and trying it out today, why don't I put one of my spiffy high gain patch antennas on this thing here? So I take off my
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I take off
Now you
my
got to
ant-
zoom out a little bit because it's.
I take off my antenna
That should be good.
and I try to put this on here, okay? And it won't go in, and I don't want to force it. So I look into the top of this, and it's got a pin in it
Oh, it's
instead
reversed,
of,
huh?
instead of a hole.
So you
and-
need
and I-
RMS.
Right. Now, what this is called, and I knew this, I just didn't know that this thing had them. This is called an RP-SMA, and that
What's
means
RP?
reverse polarity, okay? RP-SMA. So there's an SMA connector
Right.
and an RP-SMA. And
I learned that
if
the
you
hard
look,
way.
if you look, yeah, everybody has. So if I look inside this antenna here, there's a pin in it, where this antenna has no pin. Now, if you try to screw an antenna with a pin into a socket with a pin, it's going to butt and it's not going to work. But what you can do without realizing it is screw an antenna that has no pin into a socket that has no pin.
And not have
Okay.
any antenna function.
And not have, like if I took this antenna with no pin and this drone with no pin and put this antenna on this drone and screwed it down, I would say, man, I'm ready to go. But I have
I
no
did the
antenna.
same thing, Mitch.
I have
lived
no, right, I have no antenna on this drone now. So
Now,
that's,
is the antenna also reverse polarity, or could you make a little copper pin and connect the two together anyway?
well, you probably could put a little piece
Just
of
not
copper
worth
in
it.
there, but it's not worth it. And most drones and antennas are normal SMAs. But interestingly enough, the DJI goggles use reverse RP SMA.
Oh, they already
of all
have the,
things. Yeah.
Oh,
So
really?
not only are
Okay.
they left-hand circular polarized, where the norm is usually right-hand, but they're left-hand circular
wow.
polarized RP SMA connectors. And so that's just a little something. And
So they did
I
it
mean,
to try to make it a little bit proprietary.
No, it's not,
No,
because
no.
it's just if the Eachine drones that you buy, the Eachine Tyro
Right?
129 and 99, they all come with the RP, with the
okay.
RP SMA connector. So what
Okay.
the moral of the story with that is before you put an antenna on anything, an SMA, just double check to see if you got the right connectors trying to mate up with each other.
Right.
And I was very confused when I first ran into that issue. And I ran into that issue trying to put a different antenna on my Tyro 129. So I put a different antenna on it, and I went and flew, and my video didn't work real well. I mean, I still got a signal, but once I got 100 or 150 feet out, it was breaking up really bad.
Right.
And luckily, I didn't have it on a real high power setting, and it didn't burn out the VTX. But I did.
Jody says if you screw your Comcast cable antenna in, you'll have antenna all the way down the road.
Yeah, that's a different size. That's a different size. The RG62.
That's an RG8,
connector.
isn't it? Or RG58 or something.
RG5862. They whatever. I don't know the numbers.
I know RG8's the real big one, I think, isn't it? Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway, they won't fit on the SMA. But that's just a little something that I ran into, and something.
Is there any reason why the DJI chose left-hand polarized?
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just you have to have the same polarization.
Mitch, I need to step away for a minute.
Okay.
So I'll put a little entertainment on my camera side, and I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, with your altimeter moving and everything. Cool. I'm mesmerized by that. Look, I can't talk. I can just stare at it, watch it go. Yeah, that's something that took me by surprise, kind of. And
Mitch, I was flying. You know that I don't know if I told you this story. All totally out of ignorance. The FXT goggles have the left and the right diversity, and the patch that I have has you can pick left or right hand polarized. But I didn't know any of this, so I thought when you put left-hand polarized, it was on the left-hand side of the goggle. It just nobody explained all these little details.
Yeah,
so
well, that's another thing that you just have to make sure that if you have a left-hand polarized antenna on your receiver, that you have a left-hand polarized on your drone.
Nobody ever explained this from the beginning, and I was flying left-hand with right-hand.
And if you have a right-hand polarized, you use a right-hand polarized. And this is just a dipole antenna. It's not polarized at all.
Right.
So these antennas will receive just about everything. But if you've got a right-hand circular polarized antenna on your drone, and one of these on your receiver, you're missing the benefit of the circular polarization, because what that does is that stops multipath distortion. And what multipath distortion is the signal comes from the transmitter and it's received by the antenna, okay? But it also might bounce off of a building,
right,
and come back and be received by the antenna. And because it traveled further, it got to the antenna a little later. And the best example of multipath distortion that most people can identify with was
bandos.
When you had TV antennas in the old days, and you'd have multiple ghosts on the sides of all the different images. Well, each one of those ghosts represented part of that signal getting to your antenna, bouncing off of something and getting to your antenna. And what the circular polarized antennas do is they limit the amount of that kind of interference you're going to get. So if you're flying around, for example, in a gym inside of a building, that's going to be the absolute worst environment for multipath. You got it bouncing off of concrete walls on all four sides, off the hard floor, off the ceiling. Right. That's why, even when you fly the Tinyhawk does not have a circular polarized antenna. It's just got this tiny little dipole wire sticking up.
Right.
So, this would work better indoors if it had a circular polarized, but it would really look kind of silly to see this little Tinyhawk drone flying around with this big antenna sticking up the top. This antenna weighs as much as the drone, yeah. But that, now let me make sure that I get all my antennas back in the right place here because I got them all over the place. All right, this is the one here that matches up with this. So I'll put this back on.
Have you touched your helicopter yet?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
But I got kind of busy with Art's drone over
Yeah, yeah.
here, and I'm waiting for Art to come in because I want to tell the whole story about what I went through with this thing. If anybody's interested, because
Have you communicated with him today?
well, I was on his live stream, on his
Oh, yeah.
anniversary live stream, and I know he's going to be here, but he probably had to take some time and have a little dinner or something. He always comes in about halfway through or
It's
later.
a 2-year anniversary, I think I read.
Says here, Rick Halber says Art will be in at 4 and leave at 4:58. That's 7 here to go to Ken's show. Yeah, Art does. Well, you know, Ken Hearn actually came into Art's stream. Yeah, it's the
Gracing with
closest
his
I ever.
presence.
That's the closest I ever got to Ken Hearn. I mean, I was right next to him on the screen. Yes, sir. Right up there, right up close to him. You know, I mean, that was, and
You could rub elbows.
yeah,
Blizzard joined
almost,
you. Blizzard.
almost. And then Jeff Sills came in too. Everybody, you know, Art's
Oh,
a
I
big
know him.
star.
Yeah.
He's, you know, I'm a
Sills.
nobody. Art's a big star, so he attracts all the power guys. Jerry says that the Fox Ear Lollipop antenna works well. It looks good on the Tinyhawk. You mean that tiny mini little one? Blizzard FPV, how you doing? Good to see you.
Mitch, all you got to do for the Tinyhawk is put that big antenna on it, turn the props over, and fly it inverted.
Yeah. Upside down.
Yeah.
3D, as they call it.
No, it works. It works pretty good. It, you know, at least it's got that 200 milliwatt video transmitter.
Gets the job done.
Yeah, it does. It works pretty good. God, I'll tell you, Rick Halber, we were talking on the phone, and he asked me. He said, and I know you guys have seen this before. Rick said to me, "Do you have any videos of your flying your jets?" I said, "Rick, I played that a couple times on my live stream. Haven't you seen? He said, "No." I said, "Well, okay. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll play that on my show on Thursday, and all I gotta do is find it now." So where is it? You'd think if I knew I was going to do this, I'd be prepared, but no.
I was going to say that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me get myself a drink. I'll be right back.
All right, so I'm here by myself now. So let me see. This is. Let me get some sound going here. There we are. And there we are. This is a little something that I shot at one of our jet meets, and while I'm playing this, I will find the video with me flying in it. But this is I wasn't flying during these pictures. I was playing photographer, and unfortunately there weren't a lot of other guys around. So when I flew, nobody was taking pictures of it. But these RC jets have real turbine engines on them. They burn Jet A fuel, which we buy right at the airport. The same exact fuel that goes into the big jets, and a jet like that will go about 225 miles an hour. Now, that's not scale miles an hour. That's real miles an hour. So, can you hear it? Is it too
Yes.
loud, too soft?
No, get the gist.
Okay. But they sound like real jets, and in model aviation, there is nothing closer to reality, both in the performance and the sound, as these RC jets. It is just just incredible. And most of them, a lot of these are built up to be scale airplanes too. Now I got a whole file folder here of video clips that I thought I had this clip I'm looking for in here. But for some reason.
You have to have good eyesight for that hobby.
You do. Yes, you do. Because there is no
FPV of any kind.
FPV. Here it is. I found it. There
I
is
mean, in
no
theory,
FPV.
you could put a camera on that, right?
Oh, some of the guys are doing it now, but this was shot 15. This video was made 15 years ago, and we didn't have, we didn't have the FPV stuff. But you can see the size of these airplanes. Some of them weighed takeoff weight of 30, 35 pounds because they carried, in most cases, almost a gallon of fuel, and you'd burn up a gallon of fuel in a 7 or 8 minute flight.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
And the fuel is basically still 8 pounds a gallon. Weight?
Yeah,
like water?
7, 8 pounds a gallon. But let me.
And those motors aren't light either, though. The jets.
No, they're pretty. They're pretty hefty. These are some big airplanes. And,
That's probably the two heaviest things: the motor and the gas. I would think.
Well, the planes are all carbon fiber composite.
Have you ever seen a jet take off and it just kind of like not necessarily disintegrated but fell apart?
No, you mean
No.
an RC jet?
Yeah, when they were flying, it just came apart. A wing came off or something. And that's loud.
Yep,
A man who needs no words to introduce.
yep, that's right.
Hi, Art. How you doing,
Hey,
buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. That's I love that super saber, or that saber that's.
Oh, this thing. Now, this airplane, this particular airplane here, belongs to Bob Violet, who owned until he sold it BVM Models, which was one of the premier manufacturers of model jet kits.
Wow.
And he built this particular airplane, this particular model of the F-86, to fly in Top Gun. But this guy, what an incredible pilot! And you watch the maneuvers that he does.
Wow.
Are just absolutely precise, because that's what you have to do when you fly in Top Gun. And I think that year he actually won first place in Top Gun and the biggest trophy to give away for this particular airplane. Now Bob is a retired Navy fighter pilot who flew A4s off of carriers during the Vietnam War. So I mean, this guy is quite
You know
a
what's
pilot.
funny, Mitch? I went to a flying field, and this guy was flying a jet plane, and he was nervous, but yet he's a pilot for JetBlue.
Oh, being
Sounded a
an
little bit,
airline pilot or a regular pilot gives you absolutely no heads up or no skills that are of any use to you in flying
But
an RC
there's a certain
airplane.
irony where the guy flies, an airplane, but yet he flies a little RC thing, and he's a little nervous.
Yeah, I've seen big time airline pilots and fighter pilots. I've seen their knees go buckle from the stress of flying an RC, because it's a whole different thing. And anyway, this one I wanted to show you here was a clip of me in three. This is me. So yes, this is about me.
From Orlando, Florida. The airplane is one of Bob Violet's new Bobcats. This is the XL version, which is the stretch version, a little bigger fuselage and a little larger engine. It's got an AMT Mercury on it, putting out 17 pounds of thrust. I flew it yesterday for the first time, and I got to tell you, it's one of the most fun turbines that I've ever flown. It's got a lot of wing area, flies very docile, flies very slow, but when you put the power to it, it goes kind of like a bandit. So I'm really looking forward to having a lot of good times with this airplane.
Did you paint that?
Yes, yeah, I did.
Nice. Very nice.
I had the equivalent of an automobile paint shop setup. I had a spray booth. These are all painted with automobile paints, base coat, clear coat. I had a graphics shop set up, and all the decals I cut. I have a graphics cutter and made paint masks.
Like Jim Waller.
That was part of it. Yeah, I was doing what Jim Wallace did. But these 3 clips are from jet events, and there was a guy who did videos. That's what he did for a living. And he he followed the whole circuit around, and he made a video for every event, and we bought them. So,
Right.
So these 3 different clips that you're going to see are from the different jet events that I was at. And, of all the flying I've done, I really buried on some old big VHS tapes. It's probably some footage of me flying. And I have to go dig for that. But this is probably my one and only memory where I can show me flying. I got tons of video of the other guys flying, but
Right.
And I do have some shots of me flying some helicopters. I've shown you guys those before. But I never get tired of looking at these jets. I never get tired of it.
Hey, Mitch.
Well,
have
I
they ever
see.
had-
I see Mike at Night Train started his live stream, and we lost half our people. So hey,
We didn't lose half our people. Mitch,
we went
have
for-
they ever
yeah.
had any kind of a competition where 2 of you guys fly at the same time, almost like trying to do the same thing, or no such?
well, they do. Yeah, there's a lot of guys. A lot of guys fly formation.
Okay.
With these things, and it's tricky.
Did you ever get into that yourself?
No. I kind of I renamed it not formation flying, but fornication flying, because you can
Okay.
really
Get
get
fucked.
yourself screwed. You can really
Sorry.
get screwed. Yeah. Yeah. But this is called a sport jet. Sport jet is not a model of any particular airplane. It's just a plane to fly and have fun. The next 2 that you're going to see are scale airplanes. They're built to look like the real deal.
And just trying to calm
That's
down
you,
here
Mitch?
from the maiden flight of
That's me.
my new L-1011.
It's like 50 pounds
This
heavier.
model is a PCM
I was heavier.
L-1011.
Nice.
Just like I said, just put
That's
the
a
maiden
big-ass
flight on it
airplane.
today.
That's a 6
It's
foot
powered
long
by
table.
A,
Wow.
Oh, no, that's a
AMT
4
engine.
foot long.
Seems to fly very
How
well.
big
How
was
do you
that
Very
thing?
nice.
Anyway,
transport
Very
these
pleased
things
with
in
it.
pieces?
Yeah, they come
Use
apart.
JR-10X radio.
They come apart.
And,
So what is it? An
Nobody
hour's
gear.
worth
Everything worked
of
fine.
just setting it up to put it
Takes
together?
you about
The
it takes
paint
you about a
shop
half
is,
an hour or so
British
to put it together.
Caledonian, which is a charter service that's owned by British Airways.
And Mitch, a trailer, or you just put it in the back of a station?
I had a
wagon?
big trailer.
Timer.
A 16-foot trailer and it had shelves built in it. There's the sound that got me hooked right there.
Just don't know if I stand in front of it with the engine. Wow.
And of course, it was a windy, gusty day, of course. But we were up, and this was shot up at an event called Superman.
Yeah.
It was this Florida Jets. I think this might have been Florida Jets. No, it might have been Superman. Anyway, Superman is up in southern Illinois in a town called believe it or not, Metropolis. And it's right across the river from Paducah, Kentucky. So it's on the southern tip of Illinois.
Okay.
It's called Metropolis, and they bill themselves all over town as the home of Superman. You know, I mean, you see Superman statues everywhere. So this was an event every year we went up to, and it was in early September. So sometimes it was cold and windy, sometimes it was Indian summer. It was gorgeous. You never knew. This
Mitch, is that
particular day
something-
was cold and windy.
Is that something you can do a roll, a wing over?
Oh
Or no?
yeah, of course.
You
Yeah,
can do it with that, even
yeah,
though
you
it's a
could fly. You
airliner?
could fly. Yeah, this thing will do anything. But the idea with these kind of planes is to fly them scale. You want them. You want to fly them
absolutely.
so they look like the real deal. But
Now,
the wind
how
got
do you
me
know
on.
when I'm sorry. How do you know when it's time to come down? Timer or
You have,
there's some?
you have a timer. You have a timer on your radio.
I can't believe that's you. You got meat on your bones there, boy.
Yeah, these. Everybody's asking me how much they cost. Look at that. That was all gusts. Right when I was about to land, the whole bottom fell out of it there.
Wow. Yeah, but you did.
And they've got brakes. They've got brakes on the wheels too, so you can actually stop them.
Wow.
That's cool.
And Scott
That
was the
is
name of the
cool.
photographer, and he always did this taxi back down at ground level, which always looked real cool. Now this one,
I hope you enjoyed the video. You're going to see some exciting airplanes, and
This
you're going
is-
to see some great
this is Top
close-up
Gun.
detail
This
shots.
is,
So pay attention.
the most.
I'm here with Mitch Weiss.
Right here, I'll let you see
I'm Scott
this.
Stauffer with SKS Video and Prop Wash Video Productions, this year's Top Gun. Mitch, this is a very nice F-100. Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. Thank you. This is a Vietnam camo F-100
Whoops, that was me.
during the Vietnam era. The kit is from Bob Violet Models. It's all fiberglass and composite. It's got an AMT USA AT280 SP engine, turbine
Holy
engine
cow.
that turns about 32 pounds of thrust. Canopy operates, the leading edge
That's fine
slats
weather,
operate, flaps operate, speed brake operates. It has a retractable tail hook, a skid back there, has a tail hook underneath.
How much does it weigh?
It weighs 34 pounds dry, carries about 8 pounds of fuel.
About how many flights do you have on it?
This has 9 flights on it.
9 flights.
9 flights on it, yes.
Very good.
And 3 more to go this weekend.
All right, well, thank you very much, Mitch, and good luck.
Take care.
There were 4 of these Husky F-100 jets at Top Gun this year. 1 an expert, 1 a designer, and 2 in the team class. Mitch Weiss had the only one done in a Vietnam War scheme. This is the 2nd Top Gun that he flew in, and he finished in 5th place.
Now the trick here is you're judged on the maneuvers, and you have a pre-planned set of maneuvers that you have to do, and they have to be placed at exactly the right place in the sky in a box in front of the judges. So you have to enter the maneuvers at a certain altitude, the right half of the maneuver and the left half. Everything has to be balanced perfectly. And I really was never a competitor in this hobby. I always just did it for fun. But my buddy Bob Violet, who makes these kits, talked me into competing so he could have more of his jets at Top Gun. And I what really pissed off everybody is this was like my second Top Gun.
All of these F-100s look fabulous, but watch this landing by Mitch.
And I was
This is his very first landing.
And I was
And he almost
a
nailed the
new
center
guy.
line. He's got Bob Violet calling for him. What a great taxi back. Good job, Mitch. Great job.
That was a speed brake that just came down at the bottom.
I saw that.
Here we
flap.
have Mitch Weiss, 5th place in expert this year. Good job, Mitch, in his first real Top Gun. Congratulations.
God, did I piss off? Did I piss off a bunch of guys
New guy
that year?
took the trophy, huh?
Oh man, did I piss them off? Well, there's a big. Look, everything's got politics, right?
Yeah.
Everything's got politics. Okay, so you had the main split in the camps was between the jet guys and the propeller guys.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason there was that rivalry between the jet guys and the propeller guys was that the propeller guys, when it came to realism, which is what a scale competition is all about, a propeller-driven model airplane just doesn't sound like a real airplane. I don't care what you do to it. It still sounds like a chainsaw. If it's got a big gas engine in it, it doesn't
Pretty much
sound
like putting the card on the spokes of the back
right,
wheel.
exactly. A model airplane engine is just not going to sound. But a turbine engine in these jets, you heard it.
Yeah.
If you didn't know that was a model, you'd swear there was a real fighter jet going overhead. Okay, and that realism they claimed biased the judges during the flight. Now, whether that was true or not, that's what politics is all about. Everybody's got to be a victim and whine about something. So these propeller guys hated the jet guys, and they kept lobbying every year in this contest for there to be a handicap for the jet guys.
How
Like
about
a
just
golf
separate-
handicap, yeah,
a separate,
10% or whatever, yeah. So, but they never got away with it. So, number one, we were the jet guys. We were like the big deals out there. You know, the crowds, the fans. I don't care how much time and money somebody put into one of these gorgeous P-51s or B-25 bombers or something with the detail. They all wanted to look at the jets. Everybody wanted to look at the jets. So it just they were pissed off. They were pissed off to start with, and then in comes Mitch. In comes Mitch, somebody they never heard of. These are guys who've been doing this all their life, 30, 40 years. They've been fighting and beating the shit out of themselves to get a trophy at Top Gun. And they award trophies for the first 5 places. An expert class, which is what I flew in, is the toughest. Because in expert class, you had to be both the builder and the pilot. Whereas one of the other classes, they had a team class where the best builders would team up with the best pilots. Okay. And then they had another class called Master Class, which really Master Class was really the highest class, and that was the one that where the airplane could not have been built from any kind of a kit.
Right.
It had to have been a scratch built airplane. So that class, you didn't see too many jets in it because most of them were old timers. But in my class, the expert class, there were over 50 entries.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, there was 50 entries, and I'm talking. Some of these guys were legends in RC. You couldn't open an RC magazine without seeing articles about them. They were the Ken Hurons of RC. They were the, and I beat the shit out of every one of them.
So did you get your name on the magazine the following?
I have some magazines in my closet from all over the world, in Japanese, in German, with pictures of me and my airplanes. I mean, it was quite an accomplishment. To do that, and I got a trophy that isn't worth much. But for me, a guy who never wanted to compete, and the reason that I didn't want to compete was I was a businessman. I owned a business. I competed every day of my life. When I got up in the morning, I went to work, and all I did was compete. When it came to relaxing, the last thing in the world I wanted to do was try to win anything. I just wanted to have fun. And it took Bob a year to talk me into doing this, and I fought him all the way. I said, what do I want to compete for? I don't need to prove anything to anybody. I'm not doing this to become a star. I just want to have fun. Well, he talked me into it, and it's a lot of work to build the air. It took me a year to build that F-100, solid year of every night working on the paint job, and it had to be exactly to scale, and every rivet on it had to be like the real airplane. And it was built off of photographs that was an actual model of a real individual specimen from the Vietnam era. All the markings were real. Every rivet was where it belonged. The camouflage paint scheme every line on that paint scheme had to be at exactly the same place as the real. So it was quite a project to build it. It cost me over. I had about $12,000 actually invested in that model, without considering the labor and the time.
Just in that one jet?
Just in that one jet, yeah. And you can't insure these things. So I mean, it's crazy when you think about the kind of money that you're taking off into the air with, not knowing if something's going. The radio does something strange, down it goes. And those things, when they crashed, if you've seen any of the YouTube videos, they explode in flames.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they're full of jet fuel, and they got an engine that's that's red hot in there.
Red hot.
Light it off.
Got moving parts that are going at tremendous speeds.
They turned 100,000 RPM.
Yeah.
Those little turbines. 100, 110. 120, some of them, the smaller. The bigger ones went 90 to 100,000 RPM, but you're talking some serious little machinery, and you had to build those engines inside of a Kevlar surround.
Yeah.
Just in case something happens and it threw a blade.
Right.
It wouldn't, just like with the real airliners.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
right.
I mean, it had heat shielding inside to keep them from melt and exhaust, special metal, mu metal or
Right.
mono, what was the name of it? Mono metal or something. It was a special heat resistant steel that was used to
Right.
make the tailpipe from those things, and
Right.
uh,
Right.
they
Right.
were
They
really
shut
something. Rick Halber says speed question mark. That flat out coming across the runway. That F-100 would probably do a little over 200 miles an hour.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, they're actually. Stingray says, "Is this an AGL sponsored show?" No, good idea. When Mel comes, I'll put him back.
Yeah,
in.
there you go.
I don't mind advertising for Mel.
Yeah. Well, this all reminds me of back in the day when I was doing stand-up comedy, that we would have comedy competitions, and there was quite a clique saying, people would say, well, so and so's material's not that funny or not that smart or too many dick jokes or too many of this or I mean, to me is how well you do on stage. Is the audience laughing their butts off, and how well you presented the material, originality, stage presence, timing, and I've won. I let's see. I've been in competitions for about 11 or 12 years, and I've won one. And you know what I've won? A hat.
Well,
Yeah, all the other guys, they got prizes like, oh, you got a set at the Improv in L.A. or a set at the Comedy Store in L.A. or blah 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 or $500 or something. And
you got a hat, huh?
I got a hat.
That reminds me of that T-shirt. Reminds me of that T-shirt that
All I
says
got
my
was the
parents
smile.
went on vacation and all I got was a stinking T-shirt.
Yeah. Yep. That was right at the time when Bill Murray had that movie where he was with elephants called Larger Than Life.
Yeah,
I've
I
heard of
remember
it.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it said on the hat, Larger Than Life. And I don't know what happened to that hat. I think I lost it going fishing or something.
That was your prize. You should have had it like bronzed and
Yeah.
mounted on a trophy.
Oh! You want to hear a funny story? One year, a guy won one of those novelty watches. It's a Mickey Mouse watch, and I think that it goes backwards or something like that. But the funny thing about it was the hands fell off the watch. Yeah, there's a prize for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the punchline.
No,
but that was it.
that was it. But one time I was in this comedy competition. I mean, we did gigs all over the state of Colorado, and I was up against nationally touring comics. And the reason I got in was one of the comedians fell out, and they said, that comic said, well, why don't you get Art Carlson to do it? So I did that. And Carlos, do you remember a comedian named Mitch Hedberg?
Hedberg, yeah. He's
Yeah,
really
I remember
funny.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in this competition. And Chris Titus was in it. He was one of the finalists. And I missed the finals, making it to the finals by mere percentages of points.
One joke.
I mean,
Wow.
it was that close.
But if you're in with Mitch Hedberg, that's pretty good company because he's a pretty
Yeah,
funny
it
guy.
is.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Well,
And
I don't guess Mel's coming back because he just dropped out of the green room.
I think, you know what? I think he was having some power issues because that's what happened at the end of my.
I know he was having power issues because my phone rang right after I got off with you.
No.
and it was Mel.
Uh-huh.
What do you know? What do you know about UPSs? He says.
UPS.
I said, well, I know that they're either a brown truck or something you plug your computer in.
Hey, Mitch, I wanted to share a picture of something strange that I found in my apartment. I've been wondering what the heck is this thing. So
Is this a joke or for real?
I want to show this to you.
Go ahead, Art. Go ahead.
Uh-oh.
All right, now if I could. Oh, there we go.
That's a drum roll.
Oh, and there it is. What is that?
You know, I remember those things, Art.
Is that for phone or for cable?
That's a phone.
That's a phone,
right?
jack.
That's a
I was
telephone
having-
jack. Yeah. Yeah, you don't see them anymore. You do see network jacks that look like that.
Right? Yeah. And let's see. So far, I've only found two in my apartment. That was in my bedroom, the master bedroom. I don't see one in this bedroom, and I don't see one in the living room. But the other one is in the kitchen.
I was going to say the
Yeah.
kitchen.
It's right next to the stove.
Conveniently located.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Do you have a landline, Art?
no, I don't have a landline.
Yeah, a lot of people don't have.
I don't either. No. And,
Yeah.
And why would you need one with cell phones the way they are?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I agree.
Because when the landline breaks, the cell phone is what you always fall back on.
There you go. Yeah, and then you don't have that annoying answering machine.
Well, not only that, but the only calls you get on landlines anymore are
Yeah.
these robocalls and jump
Yeah.
calls. And who the hell needs that?
Yeah.
I'm on every
Well,
do not call list known to man, and yet I still get a ton of these stupid things. On there.
Well, politicians.
Nobody bothers blocking the numbers. You don't bother blocking the number on your cell phone.
Well, you do the first time they call. I must have 200 or 300 blocked numbers in my cell phone.
Me too.
But what they do is they keep spoofing the numbers. They find a number in your local area code to use. So you think it's somebody that you know. And
I get it.
the good news,
in English and Chinese. I get all kinds of robocalls.
yeah, the good news is that I have a Google phone, so it's Project Fi is their phone service, and it's a terrific deal. But they have a pretty extensive database of spam numbers.
Right.
So most of these spam calls I get, the phone will light up and it'll show the number and it'll be all red and it'll say in big letters, suspected spam caller.
No.
So I never answer it.
You get scam likely on my phone. That's what it says.
Yeah.
Scam likely.
And it's
Well, with me, if I don't know the number and if it doesn't have a name on it, I go, sorry.
let it go to voicemail. Let it go to voicemail,
Yeah.
and then check the voicemail. And
Yeah.
if it's important,
Mhm.
I mean, I get these things, and I listen to the voicemail, and they say things like, "This is a courtesy call. We have a complaint that's been filed against you, which is going to be filed in court unless you call us back at this number because of." And I'm saying to myself, nobody's suing me. No, I don't owe anybody anything.
Yeah.
So this is So they
I like
figure
the calls from the
people will
government.
be surprised, okay, and have to know what it is. Who's after me? Who's after me? But it's garbage. It's just junk.
Yep. Or the other one is your social security number has been frozen. You need
Yeah.
to call this number.
Yeah, call this number right now.
They have it for taxes. They have it for your electric bill. This, that. and the
They have
other
it for
thing. But
everything,
The
yeah.
best part is, this is John Smith or some ridiculous name, and he works for the government, but he has the thickest Indian accent, and he's trying to get over with. He's trying to convince you that he's working at a whatever Pennsylvania Avenue City.
JSK Enterprises. Hello, thanks for coming in. He says, hi, fellas. Reminds me I got a spam call from my own number.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of spam calls, Art's on the phone. Oh, darn it. Art, he muted it. I wanted to hear what he was talking about. That's funny. Yeah, JSK.
You know, what do they call that?
I
They
never
have a
got
term
one
for
from
that.
my own phone number, but that's possible, I guess. That's funny.
No, there's websites where they do that. I forget what they call that. Is it spoofing? I don't know.
Yeah. All right, let's see what was so important that Art is being interrupted. Can't hear you, Art.
He's putting the phone in his wallet or in his pocket. He looks like the guy next to the governor when he's doing his speech.
Those guys. Some of those guys are
I don't
really,
even think they're doing what they're
really
signing.
funny.
They're not signing what the guy's saying.
So
Hey, wait, he's mumbling.
they did a parody one night. I think it was on Saturday Night Live, where somebody was doing the signing but was making all kinds of obscene gestures while the guy was talking. Do you remember that one? That was funny as hell.
Anyway, that was Ted, the guy about the comedy competition that I was supposed to be in this month. It has been rescheduled to August 1st.
Of course, because we're not allowed to go anywhere near anybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And which is, I'm
just
beginning
me or
to.
you guys buffering?
I'm beginning to. No, I'm
Buffering.
not. No, I'm not buffering. Are you buffering?
I was. It's all right.
Oh, okay.
Could be me.
Yeah, it's hard to tell with StreamYards because the connection is between you and StreamYards,
Mm-hmm.
not between you and me. So
Right.
one of
No,
us
it
could
couldn't.
have a bad connection and it won't affect the rest. I notice that sometimes in the playback that my own connection gets, where you guys are still sharp and clear and everything, I get all fuzzed up, which I gotta tell you, pisses me off. Don't they know I'm the star of the show?
You're the
you know?
star of the show.
A legend in my own mind, guys. It was fun. Hey, kudos for getting Ken Heron on your stream, man.
Yeah.
Gotta tell you. And Ken comes up with his little Ken doll too.
Yeah.
Walks
He
across
said,
it.
can I bring somebody on?
Yeah.
That was funny.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was nice of him. Nice of
Yeah.
him to come on and say hi to you. That's the
Yeah.
first time I was telling people before you got here that I was actually right next to Ken Heron.
Yeah, there you go.
That's as close as I've ever gotten to him. I never
Well,
never
time
saw
you
him,
were
met
on
him,
the show.
saw him on. He's played one or two of my videos on his show, but never met the guy. We've emailed once in a while, a couple of times. But
Mm-hmm.
What is
nice
Jim
to meet
talking
him.
about with 480p? He says, I reduced to 480p, Mitch. The spectrum is being tested.
Oh, his connection, his Spectrum.
Oh,
I
okay.
told you. I have my own name for Spectrum internet service.
Speculum?
No, Rectum.
Oh,
Right.
That's the first thing I think of when I hear the word Spectrum. I think of Rectum. It's just
Were they ever Time
Yeah.
Warner by you at one point?
they were Bright House for the longest time. Yeah, they were Bright House and then Spectrum bought them out. Don't know which was worse. You could swing a little with Bright House. With Bright House, you could call their customer service and manage to get yourself a little better deal.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Spectrum are like Nazis. These guys, this is it. This is it. You take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to go to AT. Well, go then. We don't need you. No negotiating with these guys.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
it's terrible.
our other competitor is CenturyLink here in Denver. CenturyLink here in Denver. It used to be God. It was owned by a company here in
It's a Richard Pryor.
Remember that line? That was
Richard
from the
Pryor joke.
That was no, but that was from a movie. What?
No,
Was
that
it-
was a stand-up routine. I mean, he might have
Yeah,
done
but
it,
it was
did it in a movie
it
too.
was in a movie. Was it Men in Black? Was it in Men in Black? Maybe the Worms. One of the Worm guys may have said that.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
it used to be called Quest.
Quest. Yeah, no, I never had the pleasure of that here in Central Florida for the longest time. And 20, 25 years ago, it was Bright House, and it remained Bright House for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
Which I always thought was a dumb name. Bright
Yeah.
House.
Bright House.
Bright House.
I don't know. My landlord
So,
pays for my cable. I love it.
Yeah. Oh,
So Art, Jody at Drone Shots
dang.
asked me if I wouldn't talk a little bit about
Oh, that's right.
your drone here.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, basically, and I won't go into it too much. I made the video about it, but basically, it had a flight controller in it, and the flight controller had all of these prongs
Right.
soldered into it for things to be plugged in.
Right.
Which is okay if you're going to put the controller in like a flying wing where you have to actually hook servos to it, but not
Right.
for a drone. So they had wires, all kinds of wires coming out of the drone with single connectors.
Mhm.
And all those wires came from the ESC board.
Right.
But I didn't know which one went to motor 1 or which one went to motor 2 or which one went. They
Aye.
were all just unplugged. And there was all kinds of things that weren't plugged in.
Yep.
So remember we looked during the live stream. We looked at the version of the controller board. It said Omnibus F4. So that
Right.
was where I started, and that's the name of the board.
Oh.
It's an Omnibus F4 Pro. So I was able to find, and it was a board. They still sell it, but this board was probably originally put on this drone 2 to 3 years ago.
Oh, boy.
Even though the version of iNav that was on there was recent, that it was originally built probably 2 to 3 years ago,
Oh, boy.
and I don't know why they would have put those things on the board. So what I did was I desoldered all that stuff
Right.
and got rid of all them. I went and looked at the board and thought about putting the iNav with the GPS on it and all, but that is so complicated. You need
Yeah.
like 6 or 7 different switches on your transmitter. For somebody just starting out, that's not something you want to. I
Yeah.
don't think you want to be fooled with. So I also found I was going to be a UART short.
Ooh.
I needed because of the way this board was built. It shared some pins, and if I used UART 6 for the GPS, I didn't have a UART available for the smart audio, which is more important to be able to change the video channels and power from your
Right.
radio. You say right like you understand what I'm saying, so I must be
yeah.
explaining it good. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So the final upshot of it was that I decided to just turn it into a basic beta flight quad
Right.
for you, something that you can fly. It's got smart audio, and of course you didn't have a camera and a video transmitter,
Right.
so I donated one to you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I've got so I put a camera in it, and I put a VTX in it, and wired it all up to the flight controller, all soldered on nice, like you'd want.
Right.
And the fun part was trying to figure out the 4 wires, signal wires coming from the ESC, that 4-in-1 ESC board, figuring out which was motor 1, which. So I actually had to fire the quad up, hook one of them up, see which motor turned, and then I ended up shuffling them around and finally got them all in the right order, so that motor 1 was motor 1 and motor 2 was motor 2, and
Oh, okay, cool.
and everything was wired right. And
How
then,
easy is the bind button to find?
oh, the bind button is buried in there, but when Art goes to bind it, we'll do it with a CLI command, put it in the bind mode.
Oh, you can do it CLI?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
If not, the receiver can slide out. But I'm hoping. Here's what I'm hoping. You're still coming down here one of these days, aren't
Oh,
you?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. When you You won't be ready for this. I'll hold on to it.
Okay.
You get yourself, before you come here, get yourself a radio. We'll
Okay.
talk about it. And then bring the radio with you. And then we'll get it all bound up and make sure the radio works with this drone, and you'll be all set. You can
Awesome.
either that. I mean, if you want me to send it to you, I can do that. That's not a problem.
Uh-huh.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But
Have you flown the
Yeah.
Easy Pilot, Art?
I was going to do that today, and then no, I'll do it tomorrow. I know.
Are you
Drone
off? You're
Strike.
not working, right?
Drone Strike
You're off
LLC.
No, I'm
is
not. Well, here's what I did: is I was getting ready for the show, and I got on Canva, and I started thinking, oh wow, I need to make some thumbnails and start making thumbnails for my live stream shows, and start putting them on all the live stream shows that I've done, and that way it'll be easier for people to see it rather than 2, 3, 4, 5 people and everybody's going, what's that all about? And then this way I could say show number blah blah blah, guess so and so, or what we're talking about, and plus thumbnails are supposed to be eye-catching, where people go, oh, that looks kind of like he knows what he's doing. It's eye-catching and draws people to want to watch that video.
So what'd you do? Women in bikinis? No?
No,
Just a suggestion.
no. What I ended up doing was I was making a thumbnail for my birthday show today, and I got it all finalized. So probably after Ken's show, or maybe during Ken's show, I will post it as the thumbnail for today's show. But I gotta have a template to make something that's already to go, where all I have to do is throw a few graphics on there and some titles, and that's it. Make it
I think flying the Easy Pilot sounds easier to me, but that sounds like work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. And today it was figuring out, okay, how do I get rid of a background so I can use this photo or this picture of something that I could just layer it, and it'll blend right in with the background. Yeah.
You got to know how to use Photoshop.
Yeah, and that's what I like about YouTube. I go, oh yeah, and I go back to the same program just to kind of remind me, oh, that's how you do it. If you have a plain background, you just use the wand. Well, first you got to unlock it and make a layer, and then hit the wand, and it'll take care of all the colors.
Yeah,
the key and
the magic wand.
That checkerboard pattern behind.
Yeah, that's okay. That magic wand is good if everything is fairly close in color in the background.
Yeah,
but there's a smarter way to do it. I'm not going to teach you how to do it now, but it's a much easier way just to remove a background almost by painting where you want the background going, and it's smart. It finds the actual edges, and if you take away something that you didn't want to take away, you just hit the minus key.
Yeah.
And then it'll paint it back, and then you try a different tack to get rid of it. Yeah. But those tools are tremendous.
Yeah. So I'm learning how to do stuff, and I want make my channel look a little more. I want it to stand out from other channels.
That's tough these
I thought
days.
you did that part.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do, Art. You're the standard.
That's tough to do. Sometimes I think, it's just my own opinion, and
Offer no purchase necessary. Offer valid at participating locations. Void where prohibited. No animals were harmed during the production of this soundboard. Subject to change without notice. Side effects include dry mouth, occasional pain, snort or two, sore stomach, teary eyes, achy jaws, and whatever tingles well. Laughing heart.
I'm obligated to play that every time I give my opinion. It's my opinion that we're not professionals.
Yeah.
We're not professionals. And I think you can overdo, maybe. And
Yeah.
I don't mean to be insulting. I don't want to insult anybody or tell anybody they're doing it wrong. I think you can overdo the fancy graphics and the special effects and all of that stuff a little bit.
Right.
I think that sometimes, and I learned, I do professional graphics work
Right.
and editing.
Mhm.
And if you guys remember, way back when Photoshop and all these fancy word processors first came out, if you look back at the documents that people created, they thought they had to use every friggin' font and every trick in the book and every special effect and drop shadow and beveled edges and it just was so confusing and so gaudy that what happened is you didn't know what the hell to focus on when you looked at something. And then as you look at the evolution of the web over the years, something they call material design evolved. Basically, solid color panels with no clutter, wide open stuff. And the epitome of that is probably Apple Computers stuff that they put out. It's a big white page with something that draws your focus in. And I think that just because of something fancy is there doesn't mean that it's really best to use it.
Right.
Especially for us amateurs who we're not, on YouTube we're not supposed to be. So you try to make a catchy thumbnail you think that's going to draw somebody's attention. But I think a lot of this stuff, I think some of it's great, and I'm not going to mention any names about people who I think are wildly overdoing.
We already know you're talking
that kind of stuff. But everybody has to decide what's important to them. But I think in the final analysis, and I don't even know if people like my content. Probably doesn't appeal to everybody. I don't have a huge following. I don't have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people watching me.
But I don't think that's your goal either.
But I think that the content of your channel, the content has to be what's going to draw people, because
it's
the same old fluff and flash.
That's right.
Doesn't keep them coming back. I don't know if I ever was destined to have a career as an entertainer. That wasn't I was always the guy behind the camera.
Right.
Unlike you, Art. I was the guy in the projector booth. I was the guy working the soundboard.
Right.
I was not the guy. This being in front of a camera and talking like this was something that it has taken me a year plus to get to the point where I actually almost don't feel self-conscious doing it.
Oh, you're good at talking, Mitch. Don't worry, you got it down pat.
But dude, if you look back at my first, I'm serious. If I look
remember
back at
the first time, I never thought
my first
even
videos.
putting
I look
yourself
back
out
at
there.
some of those early videos and I laugh because I was scared shitless. So it's a challenge, and you know this, Art. Anybody who calls themselves a creator, well, the term creator tells you what you have to do.
Yeah.
You got to create.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's for me, my greatest fear is to embarrass myself.
Yeah.
That's my greatest fear, is to have somebody say, "Man, that guy's what a ditz. He's stupid." You know, I don't want to watch him. So I try. I think what. But on the other hand, I don't want to do Ken Herron level work
Yeah.
for YouTube.
Right.
I don't want to wake up in the morning and live,
Right.
eat, sleep, and breathe
Yeah.
creating YouTube content.
Right.
You know.
Mhm.
So, Joe, Ken Herron is going to be on Ready, Set, Drone. In fact,
Yep.
I actually just got
Yeah. Same here.
just got
A
a
notification.
notice of it. Yeah, notification of it that it is going to be on. And he has, what is it? It's Side B, right, Art?
Yeah.
His
Side
other
B.
channel, Side
Yeah.
B. I don't think it matters which one you're going to watch it on. But I'm looking at this screen, and he usually shows who his guests are going to be.
Yeah.
And one of his guests is a copyright lawyer.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So that's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be an angry show or a fun show or whatever, but I like to watch Ken's show. I very rarely ever make it all the way to the end because I'm not a 1 second song kind of a guy.
Right.
But no, he does. He's an entertainer. He does a great job. I admire him for the.
That's what he
the
did
way
for a
he's
living
able to-
prior, wasn't he?
Yeah,
a radio.
that was his business. Yeah.
Guy. Yeah.
Then
Right.
he found a drone. Got a
Yeah,
niche.
he's an entertainer first, and a
Yeah.
drone guy second,
Yeah.
and he's doing smart things. He's
Yeah.
spreading away from. It's not all drones all the time,
Right.
and it can't be because our drone community that's looking for all drones
Limited.
all the time isn't that big. You need
Yep.
to appeal to some other aspects
right.
of society. It's like with Spike. He has the drones, and then he's got the bikers. And I think he's got a lot more bikers as followers than drone guys.
Mhm.
I think
Because
so.
there are a hell of a lot more bikers out there than there are drone pilots.
Most of his
Motorcycles-
drone pilot audience is American or U.S.
Yeah, he's got a few, a nice following over there in Australia. But anyway, we're sneaking up on it, Art. We're going to have
Yep.
to lose you in about 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna eat some dinner, Mitch.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
hungry. I didn't eat either, but I think we're going to wrap it up. It was I had a really nice time tonight, a nice relaxing.
And you know
show.
what? The good part is we didn't talk about that nonsense, which was
Yeah,
fun,
exactly. We
but
didn't
I
talk
have
about
not
politics.
Turned
or-
on the news or
Right.
anything.
Exactly.
I'm getting tired of it.
Yeah. Me
I agree.
Too.
I agree.
And not only that, but I mean, how do you put it? It's not killing me financially or anything, but it just plays with your head. The whole
Yeah.
just hearing it over and over
Yeah.
and over again.
Well, I want to say one thing about that. I'm going to remind you all of my prediction 3 or 4 weeks ago about the stock market. That on June 1st or thereabouts, the stock market will be back right where it was. I said it'd break 30,000. Okay. It's pushing almost halfway back already. And I think that this is, I disagree. I've been reading a lot, listening to a lot of stuff. Some of it I agree with, some of it is nonsense. A lot of politics involved in this. I think that while it is bad and while it is contagious, I think that what we are going through is a wild overreaction to the reality of this.
I think.
Wild overreaction. I don't think Trump had a choice because of the microscope that he's under, and he had to err on the side of caution, because it's going to be much easier to say what would have happened if I hadn't, and it killed 5 million people.
Yeah.
We had to err on that side. So he's covered. But I think that this Fauci guy is
Over the top too much?
way, because I found there's a video clip of him from January. January saying, this is nothing to, I mean, you can go on Google and find it. He said, this is nothing to worry about. It can't be transmitted from human to human. Americans have nothing to fear. It'll never get here. Go about your business. And you know why he said that? He said that because he listened to the line of the World Health Organization, which is a part of the United Nations, which, as far as I'm concerned, the whole bunch of those globalist James Bond villain types can all go back where they came from and leave us alone. The Hague, world courts, any of these world organizations are purely political, usually liberal, and for them to inflict their crap on us, I'm tired, and I think Donald Trump is tired of it too. And I was so happy, just so elated to hear him lay into that WHO, because they have screwed the pooch on this from day one, and that's all I'm going to say.
Okay. You know what I found out the other day? I go to this job, and
We're gonna have to let Art. We ought to let Art go before you get started.
All right.
Because,
Take care, everybody.
all right, Art. Thanks for coming in, man. Good to see you. Good to see
you. See you later. Bye bye.
Say hi to Ken for me.
Will do.
All right, Art.
Bye bye.
So I go to this job, Mitch. Real quick story. I go to the job and I ask the guys, and this is a hospital. Anybody come down with this virus? He goes, yeah, this guy and this guy. Meanwhile, I was just next to them a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. But this is what got me. They don't even make a call to say, a decent call or just out of decency. I got this stuff. Be careful. They don't do that.
No. Anyway, we'll see. I think it's going to wind down a lot faster than anybody thinks, because I think Trump is smarter than most people give him credit for. He's on to this. He knows all about this. He's doing what he has to do, but he's making the right noises now. He was making the right noises 2-3 weeks ago when he said we got to be careful that the cure isn't worse than the disease. He knows what he's doing.
Right.
This stuff is finally finding its way out, and they're having nowhere near the hospitalizations that these quote models, the same models they use for this climate change nonsense. But
and you already know that people. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anybody can make a model say whatever they want by, you've got 200 different variables going in. You change one of them and woo, up it goes. So yeah, I think it's not going to hurt. I think the economy will come back pretty quick.
Really, pretty quick.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll come back pretty well. I think the market will come back. But I said, you heard my disclaimer. It's just my opinion. But unfortunately, in my opinion, I sometimes give the human race credit for too much common sense, and then Nancy Pelosi opens her mouth and everything just out the window. So that's the way it is. Anyway, guys, Carlos, thanks for coming in, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
I am going to call you one day and bother your brain for a little while.
Everybody else does. That's okay.
Because everybody else had. That's why I try not.
No problem. No problem.
All right, Mitch. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right.
Bye, everyone.
Take care. Thanks for coming in. And to everybody else, let's see who we got. We still got Joe C. Timeless Truths. How you doing, buddy? Rick Halber, thanks for sticking out through this. Good to see you. Stingray Aerial Solutions, and I think that Jerry Cavalry was here about 10 minutes ago. Jerry, good to see. He says he's got to sign off, and I think Drone Strike LLC was here. Jim, Above and Beyond Drones, I don't know, I've only got 10 people left, or 12, so. JSK Enterprise, Hugh at Ascart was here. Any of you guys, I'm going to go back about a half hour, and I guess you're all gone. Drone Shots, Jody, always good to have you, buddy. So thanks for coming in, everybody. I enjoyed it. I'm going to take the rest of the day off, and I'm going to give you all the rest of the day off, too. So I always say, take the rest of the day off. Go play with your drones, even if you got to fly them around inside the house. Don't worry about everything. Everything's going to be fine. We're going to get through this. And I'm not betting money on it, but it's my opinion. We'll see you next time. I'll turn it over to my sidekick, Spank, the monkey, and say goodnight to the folks, Spanky.
Oh.